Hi everyone, I'm in my workshop at the moment, huddling away from a wet Castlemaine Victorian day. Showed everyone my project on the Coaster forum on Facebook. Had a bit of interest in my project. I film my projects anyway, so here I am. So I thought I'd show you my process. I've just been filming each step till now and haven't got very far yet, but this is 3 weeks work so far. So this is my first engine swap. I'm an avid consumer of YouTube swap videos, so I'm going to try and put that knowledge into practice. Yeah, so here's my video. In case anyone's wondering, getting the 308 out is tricky because you've got to get past that edge there, past the rocker covers and over the engine mounts. I got really lucky with this bus. I bought it from Central Coast for $1,250. It was said to be not running. It was fully decked out, but I had it delivered and it was running. It was running fine. Had a old tired 308 in it, Holden. But so I thought I wanted something more reliable than an old carbureted motor. So I just sort of checked the engine out and discovered it was a very rare HT code engine. I got $3,200 for it. So I'm now $2,000 in credit for this bus, which is unheard of on projects. So still on budget, I thought, well, let's do the cheapest swap possible, which is a Barra cable thing. I'm just going to try and pull it. It is held by the chains at the front, so it shouldn't fall suddenly. See how we go. Alright, probably the most ungraceful way to remove an engine. Got a little ratchet pulling it out underneath the wheel. Well, that was the highest I could lift the thing, so it's the only way I could do it. Yep, so I've pulled out the front end. There isn't much to it really. Brake lines, clamps for the sway bar, steering connection, shock absorbers, and shackle spring bolts. Dragged it out. And I realised this is going to make getting the engine in a little easier. Yeah, so in hindsight, I should have removed the front end first before I even attempted to remove the transmission and motor. Yeah, that would have been easier. Not very exciting, but I've taken the bull bar off, or RU bar off, and just noticed how rusty the headlight surrounds are, so I'm going to take all them off and sandblast them in my sandblasting booth. There's really not much to this old bus. It's so simple. I'm going to, well, it's even simpler because I'm removing, you can't see it, all those wires and the gear selector. Way back from the 70s or 80s. More horns. It's got 3 there for some reason, and it had air horns in the beginning, in the front. Started doing the old paint rust remover sponge thing. It's quite hard, works well. What have I found? A chassis number. Who'd have thought? Just started. Got a lot to go. Well, okay, that was 3 days of prep, sandblasting and grinding and what's that called? 3M scrubbers, really removing all the grease, all the dirt, all the rust. Took me bloody forever. 3 bags of garnet, just my basic handheld sprayer. I've got what here? Cheap Chinese thing. It worked. Occasionally get blocked, but actually it was really reliable. Time to put some rust converter on it. So there's nothing flaky, so a bit of surface sort of tinge to it. Hopefully that will hold it all in place. So here we go. Rust converter, primer, and matte top coat. You know, it's not a showroom condition, but it's certainly much neater. Just looks so sexy. The psychology of having a solid painted subframe, sorry, chassis, just looks really nice. Well, I think it's going to fit. One main tip, don't work on loose sand, especially with heavy motors. Near impossible to move things across the ground. Because with the bus, I don't have any lifting equipment, it's such like a hoist or anything. Yeah, it's really tricky. Just do it very carefully and slowly, inch by inch. Well, there you go. It's on position on the ground. Now, that arch there in the oil sump, I guess it's meant to go over front axles and things, but that in front of it is the engine mount. And the engine mount on this is back there. That little, you can see that's the center of where the front axle is. So I'm expecting that the whole lot shifts back half a motor length. So I've been stripping the front end down. No real difficulties. Oh, one drum was seized. This was full of wasp nests. I haven't worked out how to take these off yet. What else? Oh, I had a lot of trouble with that ball joint. Fortunately, I've got this cheap Chinese pusher. Worked a treat. So, our front end stripped down to the major parts. Time to get sandblasted and powder coated. Back from the powder coaters, looking all very shiny. Let's take some of the masking off. These are looking quite pitted. They might need to be replaced. Anyway. Oh, now for the super tricky business of lifting the engine up past the existing engine mounts into rough position. Just like in the pyramids, sand blocks, and I'm sort of winching up the back end and the front end, putting blocks under it, just making sure it's not going to fall anywhere. I'm always being very mindful of that when I'm jacking it and not lifting it off these precarious stands. You can see there the original engine mount is just tucked behind the bell housing. I have to lift it above that and shift it all back. Show you on the inside. This is my very handy safety mechanism that's been making sure nothing falls off. I don't have much room left. It's only about 3 inches up and looked like I'm going to have to cut that cross member off. So some cutting was required. Just cut off that cross beam. So I suspect I'm going to have to build a raised box around the whole engine cover, which is fine. Look, I'm 6'3". I didn't fit under that section anyway. I don't even fit under this section, so having to stoop a little bit more when I get across the engine is not a problem for me anyway. So I'm still in the process of tilting this end up to get past those mounts, but I couldn't tilt it anymore because it was inching the motor into place took 2 afternoons. It was quite stressful. It's just you can't get any machinery in there to lift it really. But that beam was really helpful. Another half day wiggling the engine around millimetre by millimetre. There's plenty of room in the front. I now think that the front axle will miss the sump, and hopefully the steering arm as well. I have to recheck that. There's about 20 centimetres, actually more, from the top of the engine, but there's a pipe there, you can see it, that runs across the back. There isn't much more we can go back, and I really thought, oh my god, I've got to reshape the engine well. So you can see at the top side it's pretty tight in there, and again a bit of a gap behind. It's not pushing against it yet, but the stand has fallen down. See how the 4 bolts on the engine are forward of the stand, but that's actually how they should be, because the original bracket sits back that almost that exact distance, which is really good. I picked up these for my F350. They unfortunately have been mounted in the center pretty much of the bolts, where this is off center. It's like that should be where those are aligned there. So yeah, a bit of work to do to get custom built made mounts to fit. I think that's going to take a while. Today I'm trying to position the front axle and springs and some of the steering mechanism. Hope you can see it. Just seeing, so what I've positioned it so that the rubber is bottoming out, so I've hit a huge bump. I want to see whether the steering will hit the bottom of the sump. So the engine's in the ideal position. I don't want to do any extra modification of the metal around the engine bay. So, but I was thinking, if I do run into trouble, all I need to do to fix collision is to make a dipped bar. I don't know, it's called steering arm rod, the one that goes across between the two steering bits. Terminology, I should learn it. I considered one of the I think it's FG sumps, which are reversed, but they still have a big lump just there where the oil pickup is, so I don't think that's going to help. So at this point it really looks like I'm going to have to utilise the entire engine bay with the engine right up to the metal sheet at the back. I might have to reroute that pipe because it's really very close. The steering rod sits just in front, I think, of the engine sump. I'd rather have it known to be clear rather than having to modify it. As I say, everything I'm going to do, I'm going to consult with an engineer before I take any major plunges. Two of the biggest questions I have is updating the handbrake system, whether I have to have it on the drive shaft, and do I have to update the front discs, well, 2 discs that are currently the original drums. I have a feeling I won't. I really hope I don't have to. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, I'm going to record each step as I go and upload them on my channel here. It's a different direction from my Volvo repairs. Those who are watching my Volvo, sorry I didn't finish that. I got kicked out of my house. Not kicked out, but the owner sold it. So I had to move. Unfortunately, I've only got a 2-bay carport here, which is full of my tools. No sheltered area for my projects, which is making things a challenge. But yeah, plenty to work on.